Afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Beautiful sunny day out there today. Sorry, you're going to hear the printer in my office going. I shouldn't have hit print before I hopped onto this meeting. So I'm Joanne Roberts, and I'm facilitating the meetings for the initiative. And the icebreaker for today is, if you had to pick a karaoke song, what would your karaoke song be? So I'll give everybody a few seconds to think about what that might be. And then I will answer just to give people a time to think. And then we will just pick different people. So I would probably go with a Jennifer Nettles song from Sugarland. I would probably go with their title song, Sugarland. So that's probably what I would pick. Sunny, good morning or good afternoon. What would you pick?
Oh, you didn't give me long enough to think. Actually, mine would have to be much older. Probably I'd go with John Denver, Country Roads, Take Me Home, because I know the words.
Nice. Do you want to pick someone else?
Julie, you're right next to me, so go ahead.
Hi, I'm dating myself. I would probably pick Teach Your Children Well by Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young.
Awesome. Do you want to pick somebody else?
Amy, my buddy Amy.
Hello, Amy Burks. I'm the Executive Director of the Early Care and Education Association, and I cannot sing. So to spare people, probably something like Keep the Home Fires Burning, or something like really quiet to really hit any big notes. And I will pick Sean.
I guess I gotta pass. I'm dealing with another friend here, furry friend, that is taking up my time right now. Sorry, I gotta pass.
How about Anna?
This is a question that I think about literally every day. And I still don't have a good answer. So today the answer is Shake Me Down by Cage the Elephant.
Cool.
Faye, good afternoon.
Hi, Anna. Faye at APD. I'm another non-singer, so I went right away with Windy and Warm by Doc Watson, because there is no lyrics to it, and I love it. Amelia, I think you haven't gone?
That's right. Hi, everybody. Amelia from Northern Lights at CCV. I'm going all the way. I'm going with Aretha, and I'm preaching RESPECT, and I am a singer, and I would belt it out. So
Nice.
there you go.
You.
Damien, did you happen to hear the question? It was, if you were forced or you were asked to sing a karaoke song, which one would you sing?
I did hear it, and I apologize. I'm having my video off for a second because I'm eating lunch at the same time, and I want to spare you all having to watch me put food in my mouth while we're listening. But with being among the non-singer group, so the first I was going to say anything instrumental to spare everybody else the pain of hearing me try to attempt anything, as my kids would tell you. If not for that, probably a series of songs off Van Morrison's Greatest Hits, because it was the one CD in my car for a long time when I still had a CD player that my daughter would have us go through a series of songs in just the right order that we had to flip around to on that CD. So we would probably work through Bella's mix from that CD on any karaoke. But
That's great. Thanks, everybody, for sharing. Amy, would you like to go first? Because I know you're heading out to an appointment. You want to give us an update?
Sure. Real quick, the CEA did a soft launch of the subpool pilot last week and is fully launched today. We have not been able to include Vermont centers yet due to fingerprinting issues, and I saw an announcement that they are saying they are aware of it and they're trying to work on it. You know, there's a center that got their preliminary, state check back and working under supervision, and it's been 14 months at a center in our region. So hopefully they will have the same luck as New Hampshire in getting maybe the governor to push the commissioners to address that issue. And it is due to what we understood to be a nursing revision on the licensing or something. So there's a ton of nurses going through the process right now. And that's holding it up. So unfortunately, our Vermont centers are not able to join in the soft launch and the initial launch, but hopefully within the next, I don't know. I'm just going to knock on wood every single day that they come in. They could work on preliminary approval. That was not our plan. We were hoping to have full approval back, but we'll see. Damien, if there's any strings you can pull that way, it'd be great too. We have 9 subs in the sub pool, and none of them can work in Vermont right now. Some of them don't even have some of them don't even have an appointment until the middle of April to get the fingerprints, never mind get them back. So in this case, New Hampshire just blew through it really quickly, and we were thankful for that, but that is an issue. The RFP, the request for proposal from the ARPA discretionary money for childcare, it has been released, and the ECEA is putting together a proposal for that. It's the workforce and recruitment RFP. And there are 4 main pieces to that. There's a pilot, best practices pilot, something very familiar to what we're doing now. There's a wellness component, which we are doing now. And there's some listening sessions that need to be done. And what's the other piece? I can't remember the other piece. Julia, do you remember the other piece? So basically, we have to pull together some research about wellness programs and what's available and things like that. Hopefully, that's something that DH can help with because they're statewide. Maybe they have resources that are free that we're unaware of that we can include in that package if we get the RP. And then a final report, so a study. So we're going to need to contract or propose to contract a somebody or consulting agency that can do a full evaluation of all of that and compile it. And that is due, like I said, April 17th. And hopefully we would know in the month or 6 weeks after that. I talked to Joe Kenny this weekend, Executive Counselor Joe Kenny, and I asked how quickly, once the RFPs are, processed by DHHS and awarded, how quickly they could go through. And he was not thinking they would go through very quickly. He said there's a lot of things bogged down right now, and that that may be just one of many, many things they're trying to put through quickly right now. So that wasn't encouraging to hear, but irregardless, the ECA is going to continue to pilot, what we're doing. And we're finding out that the people in this cohort are looking at more employment. They're wanting to get into the field. And once they have their feet wet, like around, 6 weeks, so like, when can we start being in the classroom? When can we start earning money that way? So we are planning an accelerated version for the summer and targeting high school seniors, high school juniors, high school grads. Joanne has hooked us up with some of those contacts in the region, so we can possibly get that up and going. We may need to secure some funding to run that piece of the pilot, but it would be like, one group might run 2 days a week and one group might run 3 days a week. And we could potentially have them through the program by the end of the summer. And then those juniors and seniors could be working after school, snow days, vacations, things like that. And, you know, all the learnings we would get from that. But the other thing is that, Sean, we did hear back from the fire chief, and he said smoke alarms, fire extinguishers are good. So we will need to do the building permit, make sure that the unit passes the energy efficiency piece. And then I have a friend who owns a landscaping company who can do the parking lot piece, and then we should be good to go. So hopefully by summer, we're going to need more space. Hopefully by summer we could run. It'd be great if we could find 2 groups of 15, and have 30 through the summer piece.
That's fantastic, Amy. That's amazing how that all, I know it was a lot of behind the scenes work from coming to the meetings. It sounds real simple, but I know that you had a lot of different things happening. So that's really great that it's working out. Fantastic.
Yeah, I need to mention that the RFP contract was not what we were thinking as we were prepping this. I mean, it was wonderful because we've learned so much and we already have something in the making, but they're awarding 1 contract for the full, like almost 2.5 million. So we are we're partnering with some consultants, and we now have a person that may be able to do the fiscal piece. I have actually overall for the ECA, that's something I have to put through the board. We're trying to arrange a board meeting in the next very short time so they can review the proposal and all the pieces that go with it. So
Great. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it. Sean, can you give us an update in regard to the Lebanon ECE facility?
Yes, we have an architect on board. That's Place Work out of Portsmouth. We've had several meetings thus far, and we also have a spin-off group, which is the funding group, and they've had a couple of meetings. And we've already applied for a $3 million grant through Congresswoman Custer's office. That will help if we get it. Part of that, and that's part of the direct congressional appropriations. So that's going well. We have RFQs in for the construction management firm. 5 companies applied. So we'll be conducting interviews starting next week with them. I hope to award that shortly after that. We have a community conversations meeting on April 17th. That's just for the general public. Well, of course, anybody can go to it, but it's for the general public, which we normally do with any of our capital projects. There's one scheduled for, again, April 17th, and then the other 2 will be closer to when we have a conceptual design plan, most likely in the July-August timeframe for the other 2, before we go to the city council with the capital budget process. So that's the latest on that. The other items are one thing that's not in here is Senate Bill 221, the property tax exemption. The committee voted it inexpedient to legislate, unfortunately. It was on party lines. The Democrats supported it. The Republicans opposed it. I was just not able to get Republican support, unfortunately, and they're voting along party lines. Senator Prentice plans to have a floor fight in the Senate on that, which will probably be this week, probably Thursday. I don't expect that is going to go in a positive way for us because the Senate is controlled by the Republicans, and if they vote along party lines as they have on many other issues, unfortunately, it will not pass. In terms of the advisory committee, we worked with Amy and creating an advisory committee to help us provide some guidance in regards to the conceptual plans for the child care facility. That I think is going to be very helpful. Chris Eamon from Boys and Girls Club, we both agreed that we think that could be very helpful to us as we work through that process and continuing the design and then get that project off the ground and running. And we have a meeting with them on April 3rd. So that's good. And I know Joanne is putting together the charter for that group. So that's making progress there. So some progress on some fronts, and unfortunately, Senate Bill 221 is a negative side, unfortunately, for now. Although not to be expected in this legislature, it's very difficult. When we did testify in the bill, we had plenty of, everybody who testified support of the bill, nobody in opposition. Usually you have somebody who's in opposition, but that did not occur. And I'm still a bit perplexed why this would not pass. Generally, the Republicans are supportive of tax exemptions and tax breaks, but they weren't for this one. So unfortunately, that's not going anywhere. And that's all I have for now, unless anybody has any questions of me.
I think the ECEA meeting with Amy is March 30th, Thursday, and then April 3rd is the ECE question and answer session.
Okay. Yeah.
We have a lot. Great. Perfect. Thank you. Damien, I added you in. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'd love to hear what's happening with the facility.
Sure. I'm happy to update everyone. I think since probably the last time I was in, I attended, I forget where we were, but I think that was before we closed on the building. We've now closed on the building, so we do have the building locked up for our site. Since then, we've also had the CRP awards, at least have been announced and published, including, that's another $500,000 from the state for the project. We still, however, continue to run into challenges with the folks who are administering that money from the state in how they are administering or planning to administer the funds, and changes in what we were told and prior to actually receiving the award, which has been a bit of a challenge. One of those has been that since the original CRP program in Vermont, which was different than the CRRP, so the acronyms can be easy to mix up, but since that program, when the original program started, there was an issue where there was this 50% matching requirement that they plan to administer by having only paying 50% of any invoice, depending on what your no matter what your award was. So since they switched to CRRP, one of our big focuses has been on making sure the program, this new program, was going to actually be able to pay 100% of invoices to reimburse it up to the total amount of the award, which is 20% of the budget of the project, or whatever the award was. That's what we've been told throughout. We've had emails on it. We've had specific, asked the question many times and gotten an answer, yes, that's going to be 100%. And then just I think it was a week and a half ago, got a sudden email from them asking us to rework our statement of work that we had done for 100%, saying that now that they were going to only reimburse 20% per invoice up until the matching amount, which of course creates huge cash flows issues for us, because that's essentially an 80% matching amount. And even though we would have, this is only 10% of our budget, and we have the funding for all that other funding isn't going to come due till September. So it creates a period where we were planning to use this money, and the folks who are administering the program knew how we planned to use it, was supposed to bridge that gap. So we're in a situation now where we're trying to get them to either rethink why they are using that requirement, or have to find some other source to bridge that 80% for the planning budget. So if anybody has examples of other projects out there, because other types of programs out there that have systems for administering funds that have a cap at a certain percentage of the budget without actually requiring only a 20% payment on every invoice, it would be great to have examples of those types of funding sources out there to provide when we're talking to them. Because my sense is, and what I've been told by my folks who do this more often, is that this is relatively unusual, and there are lots of situations where programs cap the amount of award based on a budget percentage, but don't administer it by only paying a certain percentage on every invoice. So it'd be nice to have those examples. If anybody can email me or provide them as an additional help for when we're talking with the administration folks, because this isn't anything that's in the statute, regs, or any policy. It appears to be an administrative decision that somebody has made because they can't think of any other way to deal with accounting for it. So that's my updates. I mean, aside from that, we're plugging along with our DRB hearings for the traffic studies. We have our architects, we have everybody in the works and ready to go. But this big issue on authorizing folks to move forward when we need to make sure that we are going to be able to maintain our cash through flow until the both our earmark comes out of HUD and our USDA grant and loan applications come in, which will be near the end of the summer.
Sorry that all those challenges came through. It sounds as though, it's 2 steps forwards and 3 steps back a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a part of our process, and it's frustrating because it's the agency and the folks in Vermont who should be some of our biggest supporters and the most able to be creative and flexible, and they're proving to be not only the least so, but also we keep getting these changing rules. And it happened with the CRP a year ago, which I think I mentioned as well, which is the frustrating part, because we have to plan according to what we know, and we know all these issues, we ask the questions and then keep getting surprised, which is and it's not just us, this other recipients of the money have had run into the same issue. I don't know if they have the same critical impact from it that we do, but there are lots of folks out there that were completely floored and surprised when they switched to this requirement.
This might be way off, but we did have Rebecca Holcomb come and talk to us. I mean, she was very passionate. Does she have any power at all over to try to help?
It's not clear yet. I mean, we're certainly trying to go through the channels and politically go up the chain in a way that's not going to blow up, because we still need to be work with folks. And our challenge is my general sense is if going to the legislatures first is like setting off a bomb. So you've got to go through other channels first. But it's difficult because we can't get clear answers on where the decisions are coming from, how they're being made. So we have our assumptions and our guesses, but it's hard to figure out who the decision makers are for certain, and therefore who we need to convince in order to override these discretionary calls.
Damien, can I jump in with a question? I'm
Yeah,
sorry I'm coming late to the conversation. Who's issuing these funds? What's the governing body?
ACCD is who is.
What is that, please?
Administering the grant. That's the Vermont. Now I'm horrible with acronyms. That's the state's economic development wing, and it's actually we're under, because we're actually an ECD. We're actually in a sense an organization that's under them as GMEDC. So it's kind of our own state overseeing agency, which is.
So let me just ask a follow-up question then. So the funds you're asking for are state funds coming through the Economic Development Division, and there has been a change after you have applied. You have been given different information about what's available to you.
Yeah, so these are emergency relief funds that the COVID emergency relief funds that state has funneled into the economic development, this one set of economic development agencies to administer the grants, hopefully in order to try to provide more flexibility when they originally tried to do it with the CRP funding statute, which was last year, which ran into a bunch more, even more difficult administrative issues. So it's Joan Goldstein, Lauren, I'm going to block on her next name, or the heads of it. It's Brett is the fellow who's administering it from him. And I don't have all the full names off the top of my head. So
well, what I'm willing to do, what I hear you have an overarching question, which is we don't understand what has happened to change the requirements or what's available to you. Am I accurate with that?
Yeah, well, what's happened is it's always been a 20% cap, but we've always been told that, yeah, that's a 20% cap. That's what you're awarded, but you can get 100% of each invoice till you reach the budgeted amount, which is pretty common. I mean, we deal with stuff in all different ways in construction projects. They
But something
decided,
has changed.
so at some point they've decided, well, we can't, there's no way we can assure that we never go over a 20% if we ever accept more than 20% on any invoice. So from an accounting standpoint, somebody's decided on their end, and so even like our total awards are only 10%. So basically they're worried that if there was a complete failure of a project, that they could be in a situation where they paid out more than 20% of the budget because the project never finishes up,
Right.
never reaches its budget. And so somebody's decided, well, this is the only way we can assure that doesn't happen. So this is the way we've got to administer the funds.
Okay, so
Um,
I'm just trying to tease out what the question is specifically, and I've given you a direct, chatted with you my email. If you can distill down what the question is, I can go through my back channels and through the legislature and just see if I can find an answer to a question, if I'm really clear what your question is. If that's
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah. Sure.
Without creating any bombs going off,
Yeah.
just with oh, something's changed. Why? I can probably get an answer on that. If you just write me an email with all the details on what your question is.
Great. Okay. Well, I will write you an email offline and we can.
Yeah, if you're interested, and I offer that because I'm married to a legislator, and
Yeah.
he will often do things that I ask.
Yeah.
So if there's a way that could be helpful to the process, great. If you don't think it's helpful to the process, I won't do it. I'm just offering it.
Well, just, yeah, well, I have to think through. It's the political side of the channels, because we have several legislatures we can talk of, and this doesn't involve the legislature part of it, the legislature. It's an internal issue with them. So we want to just be careful that we don't have, legislators putting pressure on them too early.
No, I'm not talking about pressure. It's just if you have a question about a why, then that can be handled by someone passing someone in the hallway saying, hey, just, whatever. If you'd like, I can offer that to you.
Okay, great.
And, I know Rebecca Holcomb, I know all, we all know the same people. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I wake up next to this one. So why don't I just say, hey, is there something going on here? Like, who makes that decision and why is that the decision? It's, if that's helpful to you, that's all I'm saying.
Great. Thank you.
And I am unfortunately need to jump off this call, but it's been nice to jump in and hear some updates anyway. So thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. Have a
Take
good
care.
day.
Yep, I'll be back.
So the next part of the agenda I was just going to mention is that I met with Sarah Kobolinsky and Joanne Conroy from Dartmouth Health and Rick Mills from Dartmouth College. Those organizations very much so want to support ECE efforts. They're seeing it from a business lens, a staffing lens, and also just an Upper Valley issue that they want to try to support. So we met for an hour. Sarah Kay did an awesome job of describing the history all the way up through today with the work that Vital Communities has done, ECEA has done, and they came up with 5 or 6 big ideas in which they can support this work. And Amy and I are going to get together at some point and write kind of an overview of ECE in the Upper Valley with some statistics and action steps toward each of the main ideas that they put forward. So it's pretty exciting to have their ear and their support. We might create an Upper Valley model that could be potentially used throughout both states, which would be fantastic, and maybe nationally at some point. They're very interested, Dartmouth College is very interested in the training concept and how that they could support a potential certificate program and some other ideas as well, percolated through. Nothing specific yet, but creative ideas, and it was a really good meeting, so I was excited about that. Do you have any other business? Sean, the proclamation for Week of the Young Child, I shared it with everybody. I think it's finalized. Please feel free to tweak it, to use it or to not use it. We created it through the advocacy committee, and it has some, I pulled from your legislation that you put forward some of the language too. So you'll see parts of that in there. We're going to try to order a banner. I just talked with Anna and John. That's a possibility to have the banners. Anna and I are going to be putting posters around. When I met with Moms Are Rising, Nancy and Mackenzie are going to be joining our advocacy group. And I gave them some posters to put out toward the area in which they live. So we have posters out toward Warner as well, just to get the word out about it. Anything else people wanted to add for this meeting? All right. Our next meeting will be Monday, April 10th. If there's anything that I can help you with, please don't hesitate to email either Anna or I, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And Julie, I don't have my full screen. You want to just read that or say that out loud, please?
Just before we leave, I just wanted to offer a quick shout out to Sean and appreciation for the superhuman effort relative to the legislation on the property tax exemption. And you've educated the legislature, whatever happens in the vote, you've set the stage for more work. So thank you for that effort.
Great. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Take care.
All right.
Bye.